This week, the COVID-19 vaccine mandate was lifted for civil servants. The president of the Treasury Board says workers who had been suspended would have their jobs reinstated. But could there be any more fallout from this? Employment lawyer Alex Lucifero joins us now to get and dive more into this. Alex, first of all, let's talk about the lifting of those mandates. There's about 2,000 or so federally regulated employees, that's just of civil servants, not including transport workers. Let's talk about the impact, how this is impacting them in particular.
Sure, Matt. Well, listen, many of these employees that are unvaccinated are going to be called back into work. Certainly that needs to be said. An important note here, and as you were rightfully pointing out, there's, of course, federal government employees of the federal public service that are unionized employees. And again, those employees are likely to be called back to work. If they're not called back to work, Matt, then they may be terminated from their employment, in which case their union will represent them with respect to that matter. There are, however, non-government employees, so federally regulated employees. These are employees of, for example, banks, telecommunications companies, etc., who are non-unionized employees. Those employees, interestingly, were never under a federal government mandate. So those non-transportation industry employees really had no federal vaccine mandate to abide by. And so any employees of those particular sectors that have been laid off or have been terminated as a result of a vaccination policy would have more rights, more options. They would be owed severance. They may be able to challenge an unpaid leave in those circumstances. Employees of the transportation industry, as you mentioned, again, I'm expecting they'll be called back into work, the vast majority of them.
Right, and again, that's what we're hearing. Now, when we talk about that, let's stay on that topic for a second if we can. Are employers obligated to give those employees a certain amount of notice before getting them and requesting them to come back to the workplace? You know, depending on the industry, can employees insist on working from home?
Sure. Well, sir, as far as an obligation in terms of notice, I would say the test is kind of reasonableness. So reasonable notice has to be provided. My advice to employers would be, listen, give as much notice as you possibly can. Don't expect employees to be able to return back to work, at the end of this week or on the 21st of June, having just been given notice. Give them at least a few weeks, if not a little bit longer than that. Again, the test is reasonableness in the circumstances. With respect to employees working from home, it's a difficult one, Matt. An employer does have the right to recall employees back to the office, provided that working from home was a temporary measure as a result of COVID. So employees that permanently worked from home and worked from home even before the pandemic began, those employees, of course, have the right to continue working from home. But if working from home was a temporary measure, then they are going to have to return back to the office, whether they like it or not.
Okay, again, we still talk about the implications that many workers are still under right now. Alex Lucifero, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for this, sir.
Thanks, man.